They tried to kick me off the land my grandfather built with his bare hands. They said my ranch was an eyesore to their pristine little neighborhood. But I didn't back down. No. I bought their land. And I made them pay. Let me tell you how it all went down. I've lived on this ranch for 27 years. It's not just my home, it's my heritage. My father ran this land before me. And his father before him. We've raised cattle here, grown crops, fixed tractors, survived droughts, storms, and everything in between. It's not glamorous, but it's honest. Peaceful. Or at least it was, until the HOA showed up. Some developer came in and bought the empty lots next to my land. Built a fancy gated community called Silver Pines Estates. Sounded like something out of a suburban fairy tale. And with it came the HOA, the Homeowners Association. If you've ever dealt with one, you already know where this is going. At first, it was subtle. I started getting letters in the mail. Complaints. They said the smell from my cattle was offensive. Said my fence didn't fit the neighborhood aesthetic. Said my barn was too visible from their nature path. I laughed and threw the letters away. After all, I didn't live in their neighborhood. I wasn't part of their HOA. But they didn't stop. The letters kept coming. Each more aggressive than the last. Then came the fines. $100. Then $500. Then $1,000. All for violations of HOA policies I never agreed to. Policies I wasn't even subject to. They claimed I was damaging their community standards and lowering property values. Eventually, a guy in a shiny black SUV rolled up to my ranch. I knew who he was the second he stepped out. Slick suit, polished shoes, clipboard in hand. Said he was the HOA president. Told me I was being a bad neighbor. That I should consider relocating before things got legal. I told him to get the hell off my land. But I knew from the way he looked back over his shoulder, they weren't done. The next few weeks were hell. Suddenly, I had surprise visits from the county. Inspections on my well, my septic system, my equipment. Noise complaints. Zoning reviews. All of it pushed by the HOA. They were digging for anything they could use against me. But my ranch was clean. I'd kept everything up to code for decades. My permits were solid. My paperwork airtight. Still, they filed a formal lawsuit. Said I was a public nuisance. Demanded I cease operations and vacate the property within 90 days. I remember reading that part and just laughing. But I wasn't going to handle this alone. I called my cousin Sarah, an attorney who eats people like this for breakfast. She's tough, smart, and she loves taking on bullies in court. We dug into everything, property lines, county records, HOA bylaws. And what we found? Let's just say the HOA wasn't standing on solid ground. Turns out, they didn't even have their boundary lines correct. Some of the land they thought they had jurisdiction over? It was mine. They were bluffing, and I was about to call. But I didn't just want to win the lawsuit. I wanted to end this. For good. While Sarah handled the legal war, I started quietly waging another one. I began buying land. Not openly. I used a couple shell companies and a broker. I knew the HOA was over-leveraged, they'd bought too much land and couldn't afford to maintain it. Some plots were close to foreclosure. I started picking them off, one by one. 3 months later, I owned the wooded lot behind their clubhouse. A month after that, I bought the vacant parcel next to their community pool. Then came the walking trail behind the subdivision. All purchased quietly. All legally. And all without them knowing a thing. Then the lawsuit finally came to an end. The judge threw it out in record time. Told the HOA to stop wasting the court's time and that they had no authority over my property. Sarah smiled the entire time. But me? I was just getting started. A few weeks after the ruling, I got another letter from the HOA. This time, they wanted permission to access the walking trail, the one that now belonged to me. I sent back a formal notice, access denied. That trail is now private property. Panic started to set in. They called. Emailed. Residents complained. That trail was one of their key amenities. So I made them an offer, if they wanted to keep using it, I'd lease it back to them. $1,000 a month. Per household. They called it extortion. I called it business. Next, they asked to use the empty lot near the pool for their upcoming summer events. I told them the land was being repurposed for agricultural use. Then I built a massive chicken coop. Right next to their so-called picnic area. Every morning, the roosters crowed at sunrise. Flies swarmed the fences. It was authentic, let's just say. Complaints flooded the HOA board. Homeowners were furious. But I wasn't breaking any laws. Just raising chickens on my land. Just like I always have. I wasn't done. I bought another plot, the one right next to their front entrance. Put up a giant banner that said, "This land was here first." Oh, and that little plot behind their model homes? I turned it into a legal, licensed shooting range. Target practice every Saturday. Loud, safe, and completely within my rights. Just inconvenient enough to make their backyard BBQs a little less peaceful. They still had no idea how much land I controlled. Until the day I bought the strip of property where their mailbox cluster was installed. Now, every HOA member has to pay me rent just to get their mail. The HOA president called me again. This time, no smugness. No threats. Just begging. Asked me to be reasonable. Said we were neighbors, after all. Neighbors? Now you want to talk like neighbors? I reminded him of the first letter he ever sent me. The one where he called me a blight. The one where he said I didn't belong. I told him the only reason I hadn't started building pig pens outside their tennis courts was because I was feeling merciful. The HOA tried to crush me. Tried to force me off land that's been in my family for generations. Tried to break me. But instead, they paid for my revenge. Now I collect rent from the very people who tried to run me out. I profit from their little community every single month. They wanted me gone. Now they can't leave without driving past my banner. Without hearing my roosters. Without walking on the trails that belong to me. I don't hate them. I don't even dislike them. But I believe in standing your ground. And where I come from, a man's land is sacred. You don't mess with it. Not unless you want to find out what real country resolve looks like. So to the HOA that tried to evict me, thank you. You made me stronger. You taught me the value of patience, planning, and persistence. And best of all, now you work for me.